Welcome back. This is video 8 in our MTA networking series, and remember that this series is not just for those seeking the Microsoft MTA certification. This is a series about introduction to networking. So if you want to know more about devices that are used in networking and protocols and IP addresses and all that kind of thing, this is the course for you to get a basic introduction to those things. Two terms we use a lot in connectivity is point-to-point and point-to-multipoint. These are two types of connectivity, and by these we're usually talking about not physical connectivity but a logical connectivity, and these are primarily used in terms of WANs or wide area networks. Now you could apply them in some cases to local networks, but primarily we're talking about WANs. You'd have, say, an office in Seattle and another office in Chicago, and you want to connect the two. How exclusive is their connection? And that's really what we're talking about here. So that's a logical connectivity. Remember, when we said logical connectivity, we mean how does the actual communication, how does the actual electrical impulses flow through the network? In a point-to-point link, we say that the line that passes the communication, in other words, the wires, if you will, are dedicated to the communication between only these two devices. That is to say, it's not shared by somebody else, or another way to put it is neither device ever sees traffic that other devices put out other than the one that it's directly connected to. That's an important concept here, because remember, we're talking about logical connectivity. It may be that there are places in between that the line is actually shared, but that traffic is never seen. The only traffic that either device ever sees is the traffic that the other device is putting out. Here are some examples, and these are mostly local examples because we can make some inferences about local connections too, and we can call them point-to-point. So two PCs directly connected to each other. Well, obviously they're not going to be able to see any other traffic other than themselves. The link between two routers, or the link between two switches. Or, get this one, the link between a switch and a PC. Now we said that a switch is a central device that creates that star topology, and wouldn't it make sense that other devices can see that traffic? Well, yes, but a switch, remember, isolates that traffic between it and that PC. So we would call that usually a point-to-point. A point-to-multipoint connection, though, this means that other devices are able to see some of the traffic. Something about that line is shared between them in such a way that other devices can see that traffic, or that it can see other devices' traffic, I should say. So, for example, the link between a hub and a PC. In the case of a hub, remember that, again, this is sort of that star topology, but when any one device speaks, all devices hear it. So that link between the hub and the PC is not specific to the hub and the PC. There's other traffic that both the hub and the PC also see going across that same line. The bus topology is the same way. Anytime a PC or any other device puts out a signal, everybody can see it. So that would be a point-to-multipoint type of connection. I've just put together a few notes here that you may want to notice. You could make arguments in most devices, most connections, to say, well, this is really point-to-multipoint, or this is really point-to-point. For example, in the case of the switch, I said, well, the communication line between the switch and the PC is kind of a point-to-point switch, but what about when broadcast traffic comes along? Okay, you could make that case. So don't try to get too specific or try to analyze it too much with local traffic. Again, this is primarily about WAN traffic, and we usually use these terms in relationship to long distance or wide area network traffic. If the line logically connects two locations and does not share traffic, we would call it point-to-point. Okay, that's kind of what we said under point-to-point. If the line is a common line through the internet or other carrier system, we would typically call it a point-to-multipoint, because at least part of the distance the information that other devices are involved, when other devices are connected and involved, then traffic could be seen by both. And we have ways around that in which we would sometimes call it a point-to-point link. But again, primarily I would think in terms of, do the end devices ever see anybody else's traffic? And do any other devices along the way ever see the traffic? And if not, we would call that point-to-point. So again, don't try to overanalyze this. The important idea at this stage, as I put down here at the bottom, in this stage of the game, is that you just have a sense of meaning of the terms point-to-point and point-to-multipoint. Not that you try to go over it with a fine-tooth comb, because it's just going to confuse you if you do. That's it for this video. So we'll take up in the next video. I believe I've forgotten what we're going to take up in the next video. Well, I guess it'll be a surprise for all of us. We'll see you there. Bye now.